how about context?
How you doing?
Good. You sign in, please.
Thorough record, huh? Like Batman.
Uh-oh, watch that left-handed guys.
Yeah. So just write down Batman over there, right?
Your name and where,
man.
who you're from or what?
Yeah, they're
I was,
receiving
questioning
complaints about that sign
too.
pop-up.
You know me.
Yeah.
I'm known well in
Liking that either.
quite a few
And they
states.
said, I
Okay,
take
thank you.
great
Thanks.
offense that I
I actually thought I had the right
Yeah, so they're not liking that sign.
word. Yeah, I thought I grabbed the like nice board one.
Right in this town.
Well, I'm going golfing tomorrow.
I didn't know.
Isn't that pretty much what you do when you're not in the house?
That's all he does.
What do you do in the winter time?
Go south to go, and cry and go south to go golfing,
I
right?
used to.
Yeah.
Probably has a line carpet downstairs.
We used to go to
Hey,
school.
we're on time, 7:02.
When we were like high school.
7:02.
So now.
Let's go.
Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're waiting for you to start. You're the honorable, remember?
I thought the president always started. She fell asleep on the bed.
I forgot.
Okay.
When did you forget the words?
I forgot the words to the flag now. Anybody want to review the minutes from last meeting? Any motion to approve them?
I will make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Who made the motion?
I did.
Rob.
Treasurer's report. Anybody have any questions on the treasurer's report?
What is the tube backpack? Tube backpack.
Arts Place 2 backpack, that would be something for the leaf blower.
Okay.
Hmm?
Have to go with the check for it. That you can see it, but yeah, I do believe that's what it was for.
Okay.
That's the leaf blower.
Motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
So
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. On to the sewers report.
I have a question for the chair of sewer, and that is if we expect any other out of the ordinary expenses in the next month or two?
In the next 2 months, I'm anticipating, apparently it was found, as we're doing a check for the heat trace, there are shorts in multiple areas in the heat trace. So, once we can narrow them down, we'll probably be digging that up and replacing heat trace prior to winter. Also, we want to re-insulate some of the pipes that have become exposed. And we still have one more tank to clean out, which is the sludge tank. That's the last tank in the whole system to be cleared out of all the rags. So
So the bills won't be maybe a little bit more next month?
I don't expect it to be more than this, no. We had 3 tanks and 2 breakdowns here. Pro cable in the system. I'd love to find out where the pro cable, I mean, it's inevitable, it's actually, it had to come in through one of the vent lines. Somebody had to drop it in the vent line in somebody's yard. You can't flush that through a toilet, so.
What are the heat traces then? What is that?
It's electric heat tracing that goes along the pipes to keep the pipes from
Okay.
freezing. That was one of the big expenses from last winter, because the heat trace was not functioning going out to the reed beds, so we're having to pump sludge and have it hauled away at a cost of around $3,000 a truck.
Okay.
So that was happening every month, so we prefer just to put it into our reed beds.
Those are all the questions I have.
Motion to accept.
Motion, John? Second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. All right, correspondence. The borough is not awarded the grant towards the sewer treatment upgrades. There was a complaint on a site inspection at 700 Lehigh Street. I'm just going to read through these because we all have the memos. If there's any questions over the correspondence, we can review them at the end. Bowman's Town Authority sent in their minutes, and the Planning Commission sent in their minutes. PennDOT Federal Sign Retroflectivity Requirements, Technical Information Sheet. Pre-construction conference for Carbon County. There's a contract award. Attendance and participation at the meeting is important to the success of this project.
I can give you information about the project.
Excellent.
I pulled the plans off of PennDOT system. They're doing curb ramps in Europe Borough, Lehigh Borough, and Pomeranian Borough, and Whitesport, all as part of one contract. The intersections that'll be impacted are along White Street at 4 ramps at White and Mill, 4 ramps at 4 and White Street, and then there's 4 ramps where White and East White split, where your monument is, whatever.
It's just curving.
Or in White Street. Or in White.
Oh,
Go to
I'm
the
sorry,
side.
you're right.
No,
No, I read that the wrong way. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was trying to get them to come together, it just wasn't working.
Sorry. No, this map does not have what the street is. What's between Mill and
Is that Forge?
That's
White?
White Street, and that's Bank. I
This
think
is
this is,
Bank Street.
And then Forge Street
No,
would be
Bank's
down
up
where
here.
Great.
It'd be-
that runs out to 2. This is East.
It's the cross
Or is it-
street between Mill and where East White and White
That would be
split.
Forge.
That would be Forge.
Okay, that's what it is. Sorry, this map is not labeled, sorry. In my brain, I read the next closest thing to it. Sorry about that. And if you would like, I could go to the meeting. It's 2 blocks from my office, so it doesn't get any closer. It's closer for me to go there than it is to come here,
I'll
actually.
bet,
So,
I'll bet the commute time there.
What are the wishes of council in regards to Jessica attending the meeting?
Let her go.
Let her get.
Well, would they be doing, they would be doing the ADAs on their street, not ours, correct? So would we really have any affiliation to, I mean, they're gonna come in and do it anyways, right?
oh, they're gonna do it no matter
Yeah.
what. It's
Yeah,
only for
state
coordination,
highway.
so you're
Oh,
aware.
okay.
So
Yeah.
we're aware of what's going on and
Okay.
any potential utility,
Yeah.
there's
that's what
utility
they had to
conflicts
mark the
possibly
sewer and water
for
lines.
the water valves,
Yeah.
basically. So if there's any information, I'll bring that back and
Okay.
pass it on to the water authority.
No
Is
problem.
council in
I'll make
favor?
a motion to leave her. If
Okay.
you need the motion.
Yep.
Is there a second?
Second.
John? Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Any other questions regarding the correspondence? All right then. Mr. Preston.
Okay, number one is land lease agreement. This is for the cell tower. I want to tell you it's in process. We do have we did get an easement agreement from the carrier, who it's not Cellco, they've assigned it to a subsidiary. That won't change anything. It's pretty close to the deal that we agreed to. The monthly amount, although they stated as an annual amount, is the same. They did not include, I don't think for any other reason, and maybe there was a miscommunication between the assigner and the signee, the co-location fee. So we need to have that included. And then Jess looked at the exhibits, which are some job units. We have to make a few adjustments to those. Get that taken care of. And they're not in any hurry to do that, just so council knows. These payments don't start until they actually go online. So they still have a ways to go before they get there. And in fact, it's likely that they're going to need some kind of zoning relief, which that probably is a fall zone. That tower is probably violates some kind of fall zone or something. So everything's moving there, and everybody is getting along. Number two, options for EDU. This, if you remember at the last meeting, there was a request, and since then I've had several discussions, and I'm not really sure what the request is anymore, but I can tell you what I think it was. I think the request was that there's a property that has 2 EDUs assigned to it, that has 2 apartments existing. There's a third use there, which at one time was a store, which had a toilet in it. And the new owner or prospective owner wants to have that recognized as an EDU without paying any fees and so forth. And if you remember, I said I didn't think we could do that. And the reason I remember now why I said that is because we've been through this before a couple of times. I think back in 2011, we had a fellow come in with the exact same request.
Right.
And we told him exactly what I thought we should have told him, is that we can't give the EDUs away. So that's been the borough's position consistently throughout, is that, and I think that's the correct position under the law. We can't give the EDUs away. We can sell them. There's only 2 at that property. If the owner of the property wants a third, they can buy them. If they don't want to buy it, they can reserve it. There's a mechanism to do that. But if the request is from the owner is to give me the EDU, and I'll begin to pay the monthly debt service, but nothing more, I don't think Borough Council has the legal ability to do that. Any questions?
Is this, when you say we don't have the legal ability, is this just because of the precedence of what we've done previously?
No, that precedent was based on the same legal prohibition. We only have the powers that are given to us by statute. Statute controls what we can and can't do. As far as the plant's concerned, when the plant was put online, the loans and the finances of the plant were predicated on, there was some calculations on the prior engineer here. The plant gets rated at a certain capacity, and that the cost of the plant gets capitalized over the life of the plant based on the EDUs, and so that charge is allocated over the EDUs. So that as people come in and buy EDUs, they're essentially paying they're buying their piece of that project. The Borough Council is not allowed to give those pieces away for free. If anybody wants to have a piece of that puzzle, they have to buy one of the pieces. And if they don't want to buy it, then it has to remain in the pot for the next person to buy it. We can't give those away. Yeah, that's how we pay down this.
Question for you, Jim.
Yes, sir.
Being that the way that was situated, and I'm referring to the Sheckler property, which I'm sure we're talking about, would those EDUs be given at the price of the original rate or the going rate? Yeah, we've changed the cost.
Well, you're not talking about the EDU, you're not talking about the EDU, you're actually talking about the buy-in.
The buy-in, yeah.
You're talking about the buy-in.
And I think that should be stated. Do we go by what was the original setup, which is what was brought to us? Or do we go with the rate we have now?
He's entitled to stay with the original setup. Because council allowed that one toilet to be there without assigning an EDU. So no EDU was
was ever
allocated.
assigned.
It still belongs to the borough. You can build a house somewhere else tomorrow and take that EDU and put it onto that house, so it's still there, it's still in play.
So for all intents and purposes, that property has 2 EDUs.
And that's the maximum it can go.
By law, it has 2 EDUs.
It has 2
Yes.
EDUs, and that's the maximum it can go unless he wants to buy into
Unless he
another.
buys
He can buy as
into
many
another
as he would
EDU.
like.
And that's what I'm getting at.
But at the end of the day, when you do the accounting, you have so many EDUs and you have so many EDU charges, they have to match up. We can't take part of those charges and just,
But if I understand it, you're asking if he, seeing that it was grandfathered the way it was, if he wanted to go to that 30 EDU, even though, because in essence, it might have been set up inappropriately back then, would he be able to buy in at the original rate or the new rate? Is that what you're trying to
That's what I'm
say?
asking.
I think it's gonna have to be the same rate that anybody that would buy an EDU today will
Today would
pay
be.
for an EDU.
And I'm just trying to get
So
that
that would be the
set.
new rate. Now, I think you're
Yeah.
wise to do that, but I think it's, in other words, it's, he's in, the purchaser would be in the same position as anybody else. We really shouldn't be making him different, unless, of course, I mean, there was something really strange that happened. It would be totally unfair to charge the person today's rate for an EDU. I imagine you can make some equitable argument as long as you're collecting for the EDU, but I don't see that here. The person that originally started this didn't want to pay for that EDU, and went out of their way and approached council to try to avoid paying for the EDU. So it would seem odd that somehow they can take that and parlay that into either a free EDU or a discounted EDU. They got what they wanted. The borough gave them what they wanted, which was a toilet with no EDU. So that was sort of a benefit that they got, that they weren't necessarily entitled to, but council made the deal, and council's respected that, and will continue to respect that. But to say that that now entitles them to something that you or anybody else is entitled to, I don't know.
I think you could set a precedence that you would allow that.
In the same discussion, because he had brought up that he had been, had purchased another property, that he had come forth to say that he was only being charged 1 EDU. In response to that one, I'm kind of curious, the previous owner, did they pay the 2 EDUs or the 2 tap-on fees for that particular residence?
Let me just clarify, this may be what you're talking about. What council can do is, if a person requests, in other words, that when you make these calculations, each use is presumed to have so many EDUs equivalent to one. Single-family residence is 1, because that's what an EDU is, but a restaurant might be 3 or 4. They do certain calculations based on square footage, number of seats.
Number of seats, right.
So if someone comes in and says, this is what the book says I should have, but I'll never use that for whatever reason, council does have the ability to say, to reduce that EDU requirement. So if it says you need 4, and they come in and they put on a really good show, and they say, I'm only ever going to use 2, council can reduce it to 2. But they got to buy the 2. They don't have to
Right.
And the council can reduce EDUs for a particular property. They do have the ability, because they're not giving away EDUs.
So in essence, for the discussion on the table at this point, we'd almost have to make a motion at this point that we'd have to grant him what he currently has, but he would be able to have that third EDU without purchasing it.
Right.
I don't know that you need to make the motion that it gets. I don't know.
Because nothing's changed, you're saying.
It's nothing changed, or with that, that's just a notification of what we need to give him then.
Okay, so really what we're saying is that
No free EDU.
he may proceed with the apartment that he wants to put in there, so, and I'm speculating here, but he must purchase the right to do so. As far as water and, well, we can't answer
Well, I
for
mean,
water.
right now, it says he has 2 EDUs, he was willing to pay the monthly fee for a 3rd EDU. What I understand, what you're saying is that property has 2 EDUs, he doesn't have to pay a dime for using.
Yeah,
Those 2 EDUs,
See,
those.
right, because currently the 2 EDUs are for the 2 apartments that are there, because there's currently 2 apartments. What he was saying is, he doesn't want to run into a problem later on, that if another business comes in there, and he wants to lease the space out,
At that time, he'd buy an EDU.
Well, in essence, no, you can have a business there for limited use. If it- so if it's
The
an
question,
office-
the question on the floor probably should be, is there any reason to treat him differently than anybody else?
No.
Then Borough Council doesn't need to do anything, because the rules apply uniformly to everybody. He's not coming in and asking us, please apply your rules to me. He's saying, don't apply, modify.
But he is saying he's willing to pay the.
He's willing to pay the third EDU rate, in other words, monthly, but not so much the sign-on fee of whatever it is right now, $8,000 or $9,000.
The tapping connection fees.
The tapping
That's
connection
well, that's the
fees,
thing you
even
have to
though
pay.
none of that would actually take place. It's,
Here's what this is out of our October 2nd, 2012 minutes, where another fellow asked the same question. I'm just going to read from the copy of the minutes. The visitors, it says Darren Goldberg, potential property owner of 725 White Street, question council on the upfront sewer costs that he would incur if he would put a third apartment in the building. This happened. With the purchase, Darren was informed that he would need a zoning variance for the parking. Council explained that he would be responsible for paying a tapping and connection fee for the third EDU. Council's been very consistent.
Yeah.
But unless council wants to attempt some type of exemption or modification, council doesn't need to do anything because there's nothing to exempt or modify.
We can do that.
no.
You're gonna open a can of worms.
No. And at this point,
But what you're saying is the tapping fees are set by formula that is state
Yes.
law.
Right,
Yeah.
state law.
They exactly are.
yeah.
And you have to, you can't just make them up. We spent a lot of time doing that.
So in essence, even for zoning and everything else, nothing's really gonna change. He's still gonna continue to use it because he wants to use it for storage. He'll have a bathroom to use there. It's just later on, if he decides to, it's still considered, it's a commercial
Right.
site, that they'll have a bathroom to use. It's just, he was saying he would like to be able to pay the third because he felt it was unfair that if you lease it out to a business, they're getting their toilet for free, basically.
Do you want me to end this right here? He brought plans into the office because the water authority asked for them. The 2 bathrooms that were in the store area were never connected to our system, and to present are not connected to our system.
The toilet downstairs, or what are they connected to
Septic.
Bobby?
Well, see,
No, or they connected to Bobby's house.
well, technically, they would be connected to,
Why is the
you only
right
assume,
underneath the parking lot?
Yeah.
They were never, the 2 bathrooms in the store were never connected. Because that's what he said to me when he brought the,
You didn't want that anyway, did you?
the maps in. He stated that he would like to connect one, and he's going to remove his second.
So.
but once you
that is-
connect
This
one,
is-
you're.
This conversation is
Mute
Then if he's
and
gonna connect
voice.
one, then you're saying he's gonna have to pay a connection.
That's right. If he's gonna connect one, he must pay the connection fee.
Well,
So is this, does that end this discussion?
Yeah, we gotta go by the terms that, council has set up.
Let's move on then.
Okay,
Well, that's all that I have.
and that, Tracy's in your.
well, you're gonna start it up now.
All right, Jessica, can you move forward with the engineer's report, please?
Sure thing. We received the corrected certification forms for the Oak Street project that were requested by John Davis, and I forwarded that information to him, so that should close out his paperwork for the Oak Street project. Bids were received by the county for the Hamilton Street project, and I verified the bid at the request of the county. Bruce George Paving was the only bid at $85,218.36. And that was for the entire project with the program and the paving block to block. And the program amount through the CDBG program that you were previously earmarked promise for your project is $92,879, so that's greater than the bid that they have. So at this point, the borough will be responsible for any additional charges or anything like that to the project, should there happen to be anything. that would
So
require
it
change
covers,
orders.
it covers coffee and donuts and everything else to go along with it?
I don't think so.
But also, other than fixing the curb, the homeowners won't be impacted at all either, correct? In other words, everything's covered by the grant as far as ramps and everything.
Right, we-
Curbing.
Not the curbing.
The reason we
Not
had.
the curbing.
But all I'm saying is the only thing left is the curbing that needed to be repaired before.
Correct, in the
Right,
individual, yeah, that,
Okay,
on the locations that were noted, like in the block, yeah.
okay.
Now, the reason we had split it up, the base bid and the alternates, was so that if we could only afford to do a portion of the project, we would have it broken out, so that the borough wouldn't have to ante up funds, beyond that, so, basically, all I need to know is if the, streets committee would like to go ahead with the project this year or not, because, when I talked to, the contractor, they're not available to come out to do the work until the last week in October, so that's.
Well, one of the questions I would have since I've been appointed street chairman, the curbing that has not been done, I don't know which property.
Okay, one of the people up there called me and asked me if the street was gonna be done. I said, I'll find out tonight. They said, if so, their contractor said they would get their curbing in before the project would start. As far as the other two, I don't think we had any response from them. As far as the other two, I think it was agreed previously by council that if they did not put it in, the borough would put it in and we would put a lien on the properties.
Okay, then my question would be, is Mr. George here gonna be assigned to put that curbing in?
Probably if they don't put it in.
That's what I would discuss with them at the pre-construction meeting, basically, and
Probably, yes.
have them give you a
And
price
I'll
for
look
that.
at Pam, and I would like to see it go in, because I've learned from past experiences that when you drag your feet, you lose.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see an issue, because we still have two projects going on locally, that Lehigh's probably gonna be staying open until those projects are done. What about the turnpike, are they gonna keep going on that, no matter what? So,
He'll be able to get blacktop and,
yeah,
Okay, well, my concern was the curbing, and if council is gonna appoint Mr. George in charge of putting that in, and we will assess the property or whatever we have to do, and I say move on with it. Yes.
great. And council will contact the county and get a meeting scheduled, and then I'll notify you when the meeting is scheduled. And the only other thing I have is that I'm not sure if, anybody else got, I know, it was in my box when I got here. Tara had put in my, inbox a letter from, DEP, just closing out the, MS4 permit waiver. We had gotten a nastogram from DEP saying that, you hadn't complied with the MS4 permit, but we had already gotten a waiver last year through Pennsylvania DEP, but somehow the EPA, US EPA didn't know about that.
they don't talk to one another, come on.
Right, well, so.
They don't have a phone number.
Provide them with
They
that
don't know what to
information,
do.
and they sent us a letter back this month that said you're in compliance, so that's all.
Is there any further updates from Jackie as to what's going on at the state?
She contacted DEP just to check in with them, and the person did not get back to her, but I mean, they're within their normal review time, so we're just waiting
We'll
for.
have to shake some more shingles.
All right, moving on to unfinished business, the EMA coordinator position is still vacant.
Okay, I do have two names, the fire chief, I have talked to, I will submit them to you.
Okay,
He's drawing a blanket, but.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank here because,
that's fine, you can just submit them and then we can,
Chief had given me two names last night, both qualify. I'm just not sure which one the chief wants to give me.
He doesn't know which one he wants to throw under the bus, right?
Who are they, Norman?
We need
he can't get it
an EMA and a deputy, so we need two.
Oh, you need to?
Yeah.
Well, I got them then.
Okay.
nicely done.
They weren't appointed yet.
The,
You have
They
names?
didn't,
we have
need
names,
names.
that's a good start.
I will be bringing them to Kira. It's, I just have first names, Cody, and,
All right.
you don't want first names, you can call me. And
Secretary,
qualifications.
okay. Secretary contacted Franklin Township and Lee Heighton Borough in regards to the CFL recycling, and both municipalities have found it to work well. It was stated it is a worthy program to offer the residents and zero cost to the municipality. Package. This was the recycling for the fluorescent bulbs. So, can we make a motion to approve that with it?
I thought
Was there
we
any
approved that
discussion?
last meeting.
We wanted more information, and we put it upon the secretaries to check into that with the communities that have already enacted
Okay, they will
this.
be located in the hallway,
Well,
or outside.
Right up.
Probably in the office, because the one municipality I contacted said that they actually, so that there's not just throwing it in and the breakage. They
Yeah, you have the
basically
gas
take it
station.
from the resident and they put it in the bucket, yeah.
so the request is actually from PPL or a PPL contractor to allow it to be placed in the borough building, correct?
To
Yes.
recycle, it makes sense.
So I would make a motion that we accept that and that it be placed in the borough office so that the residents can recycle during regular business hours.
Thank you, Rob. Will we have a second?
I'll say.
Okay. Anybody opposed to that? All right, motion carried. New business. Mayor Popson submitted a letter of interest for the vacant seat on the planning commission.
Who resigned? It's been vacant since Kara came over. There's always been a vacancy. We only have 4. Are there supposed to be?
There's supposed to be
Oh,
5,
okay.
so he agreed to go on that way, I realized that, because one of the members actually has to work a second shift again, so we need another person to be sure to have a quorum.
Okay. I didn't know there was a vacancy.
Yeah. So do we need to make a motion to
Let's
accept
make
that?
a-
Okay, I'll make the motion to accept his
Second.
application.
Okay, anybody opposed? Motion carried. Janelle Mertz submitted a resignation letter from the Palmerton Library Board of Directors as the Bowmanstown representative. Yes, Mr. Mayor?
I have somebody that will take that position. It's not me.
Even better.
Yes, her. In fact, she's gonna send a letter into the office, I don't know when, but when I see her next time, I'll tell her she's already been appointed. Lorraine Neal, she was down at the end of 4th Street. I talked to her the other night, and she said, she talked to somebody about it. I says, are you interested? She said, and looked at me funny. I says, you will be appointed. Thank you very much for offering your services.
So will she be submitting a letter then?
She will be submitting a letter, but we can, if you want to, you can appoint her prior to her letter being submitted. That way she can't get out of it.
Yeah, since I know her, I'll make that motion. Second.
Okay, anybody opposed?
Who made the second?
I do.
Cordell. Okay, motion carried. Borough Health Inspector is requesting financial assistance from the borough to upgrade our Health Inspector laptop software. Alicia Pila, Health Inspector, performed 6 health inspections in for the borough last year.
What's she looking for? I know financial.
Financial.
What's the figure?
She's, looking,
Half of $170.
One of my questions is, isn't there monies available for them from the state?
that's a fair question.
I think there is. How about we check that out first? I mean, I have no problem giving her,
It's the state she was in contact with as far as, I mean, the laptop itself was given to her from the state.
from the state.
But it's the state that told her the reason she's having issues with it is she needs to upgrade her software and program.
Well, when the state.
And Lee Heighton is paying half of it.
Yeah.
Right, they're paying half, but we're smaller. I think we have 6 eateries that have to be inspected.
Right, yes.
So I don't think we should need to provide as much as, say, Lee Heighton would.
So what's half of it, Cordell?
Half of $170.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's simply enough.
85.
I'm willing to go
I'd
$50.
have to agree with Rob, I think that it would,
$50.
50.
Is that a motion?
I'll make the motion to lot up to $50.
Okay. Is there a second to that? Opposed? Anyone? All right, motion carried. Fire committee,
Did everybody get that memo from Fran, or did you just give that to me?
Everybody got that?
everybody got it?
Okay.
Junior,
Yes,
it mentions you at the end, that you have something to say about that?
I do, but I believe I'll wait till budget comes up, because I think there's a budget thing, and, I'll make the proposals then, if I may. Carrie, you have a problem with waiting for?
No, that's
Okay.
fine, that's fine. 6 1, half dozen another. and
Well, it all pertains to budget anyway.
Yeah,
That's all I have on fire.
all right, Pam, Law?
Okay, we got a couple of requests to bring back the burning ordinance. The designated dates were Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. What are council's wishes of bringing back this ordinance?
I'm gonna put that into a motion, because when I left council, it was Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. My belief is that this will sort of solve part of that branches laying all over the place, being thrown illegally, and we won't go into depth on that, but I'd like to see it Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday.
And this is specifically just for yard waste.
Yes.
Yard waste.
I would like to.
If it is garbage, they get fined.
I would
Well,
like to I would like to bring that, I mean, I think that what we have there is fair as far as the yard waste. I'm kind of opposed to bringing that back on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, because it was never enforced when it was there, and I think that enforcing it now is going to be a nightmare, and trying to decide if they're burning, I mean, even now, we're allowing them to burn in a chimenea, so if you have small branches, you can still burn
In
them.
all honesty, it's gonna solve problems for the borough, and I won't go into those steps at this time. Because there's things that the borough did not come up with. I'll leave that alone at the present time. All that I'm asking is that you allow the residents to burn general friendly. And I don't wanna see garbage, plastic, and that stuff. As for the enforcement, I think you need a saint to really enforce, because I do know there's burning going on at the present.
Well, then why don't we just open up open burning, and
Uh,
just leave it as
I-
it is?
I-
Because this Tuesday,
My
Thursday,
belief
Saturday
is
seems
that, let's try and
inefficient.
limit it.
Most will obey it. Most will obey it. There are always gonna be those that won't. I'll say.
Well, I just read in the paper tonight, they had two, I think they have burnings, or twice a month, no, it was Westport, had burning twice a month. And they were having trouble with that, people burning also, but, I mean,
I'm just
We're
trying
gonna
to
have-
generalize it, so to speak.
I had a question for the solicitor, since we have an ordinance that is specific in what we allow. How, the discussions we have here, what leeway do we have to change?
You have to amend the ordinance.
Would it have to be amended, so that would have to be advertised now?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
we, quite
And
a
that
few
would
years
be
ago,
cost
we
per
had,
borough.
we had brought this ordinance up to have Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Right.
burning. I mean, all that would need to be changed would be the dates. You
Right,
know,
what I'm
I
wondering
mean,
though is
everything
we
else
can't-
is like the,
Any decision we make tonight isn't gonna happen quickly, because the
No.
ordinance would have to be amended.
No,
Right.
it has to be advertised too,
But,
Right.
and it has to be checked by the solicitor.
but the ordinance, it may make the discussions a little easier. The ordinance can be amended in such a way that it could, for example, when you set permit fees and so forth, you don't usually put them in the ordinance. You say fees as adopted by council from time to time. So you can put in the ordinance, if you want to amend it, that burning may be permitted by council at certain dates as council may designate by resolution from time to time. And that'll give you the flexibility. So if you want to experiment a little bit, you don't have to go from one fixed ordinance to the next fixed ordinance.
But
You
it
know,
would
with the
require
advertising and the-
amendment, the advertisement.
You can do it, but the ordinance has to be structured that way. So you do have to do the initial amendment to give yourself the authority to plug those dates in by resolution, and then you can, that's just an option, I'm not suggesting you do that.
I feel we've been changing this like every year and nobody has a clue what's going on with it anymore. And it just gets to be absolutely ridiculous.
Well, I'm proposing it, I have a second, put it on the floor.
Okay.
I think before you make a motion and put it on the floor, the law committee should come up with the ordinance changes that they want.
We already
Well,
have that.
we met, and you can recall we had made this change 3-4 years ago, when it was vetoed, and all the difference, we had Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in there. Now, residents had asked, and Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So the dates just need to be changed from Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday.
It also had been at the solicitor's office and was approved and
It was
was to be brought
advertised.
on the floor. It was advertised
And vetoed.
and vetoed. So, I'm asking that it be put on the floor for a vote.
What exactly are we voting on? Are we voting for the Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday? Are we voting for the ordinance? What are we voting for?
Tuesday, Thursday, well, you actually vote, Jim, what am I asking here? Tuesday, Thursday, and
You're
Saturday.
asking to open up the ordinance and then to structure it so we could actually manipulate it if we need to.
Well, that's a choice, council. The first question you need to answer is, do you want to amend the ordinance to provide for fixed dates, or do you want to amend the ordinance to give you the latitude to make dates at a later time and move them? Do you want the fixed dates in the ordinance?
I would say the fixed dates in the ordinance.
You guys have to, that's your first.
I would think that because we keep changing this every year, that if we're going to make a motion to do this ordinance, that we make it flexible, that we can change that, because next year when we're back at the table.
So leave it so that it's flexible.
Make it flexible?
Yeah, to make it, I mean,
Okay, well, then,
because then we don't have to write up another ordinance, we could just make a resolution to the ordinance.
resolution too.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm in favor of that.
You got that?
I got that.
Hey, all right. We already have the first, we have the second, batter up.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm opposed. Motion carried.
Can you repeat what the motion was? Because I kind of missed that, I'm sorry. So you're limiting what day that people can burn?
No, the motion is authorizing the solicitor to come back to council with amendments to the burning ordinance that would read as follows. The ordinance stands as written, however, council reserves the right to permit burning at certain defined periods as council may determine from time to time by resolution.
And I missed the part about how a specific day affects the community as to what day works and doesn't work for burning. Is a Tuesday a different?
That
Breathing.
hasn't been addressed. The ordinance will allow, if the ordinance is adopted, council will have the authority to permit burning as council sees fit at any particular time or all the time,
Right.
as adopted by resolution. So the answer to your question is, we'll have to come back when they adopt the resolution,
Yeah.
because they haven't done
It
it.
is Tuesday different than Wednesday? I mean, what's the reason? I mean, is it,
Monday, a lot of women wash, they hang clothes out in the line.
So they don't want
to
the-
burn on Monday.
they don't burn on Monday? But there's an ordinance of what day you can hang your clothes out or not?
What about the?
Is there an ordinance about what day you can hang your clothes out too, or is that?
No,
Okay.
no.
I'm just saying.
Just trying to be fair to the public.
That's usually their day.
Technically,
That's fine. I love it. Go ahead, do your thing. Sorry.
talk to you later. Let's continue with our meeting.
All right,
Okay.
personnel, moving on.
Wait, I
Oh,
don't
sorry.
finish mine yet, I'm sorry. Okay.
I'm moving on,
I
Pam.
see that. We looked over the landlord-tenant, ordinance from Lansford. And I have a question, and I would like the solicitor to look at. On the back sheet of this, addendum they have a lot of different things in this ordinance here that I don't think really pertain or we need in the landlord-tenant thing. And I was just gonna ask if we could just use this last sheet here, and, I mean, you can get back to me next month. Yeah. You know, like if we could just utilize something like that for landlord tenants, and I mean, you can look at this and get back to us next week,
I
but,
got you.
it's like a form that,
Let me hang on to this, I don't think
so then just, you know, bring that back to us
You got it.
next
Okay.
month. And what else did we have here?
Two things there, odd even.
Okay, yeah, and Law was looking at the odd even, parking for winter time. Possibly bringing an ordinance to, designate the odd and even parking, on the streets.
Would there be signage for that?
There is
There
signs
is
there now.
signage.
There's in front of the Borough Hall, but where else would there be signage?
There are other
There are
signs
yeah.
throughout the borough.
Throughout
Yeah.
the town.
Yeah.
Up on Hamilton, there's one up in Hamilton.
But isn't this already in the ordinance related to snow plowing? Because I know we looked, when I was involved, looked at the ordinance about clearing it from sidewalks, but I
Yeah,
thought,
because that was the odd even days.
I thought the odd even was also somehow incorporated into this
It's in the
ordinance.
snow plowing,
for
yeah.
plowing.
Is it in there?
Yeah, it's in the snow plowing.
Okay.
Are you sure that's in there? I thought.
I don't think it is.
I don't think it is. I don't
The
think
one
odd
we're,
even,
the one we're looking at, I mean, I don't have that with, I don't have my streets
I don't
with me.
recall odd even.
The one we're proposing,
But did we
in
ever
the-
pass anything on that, Darren?
no, those are the ones that got tabled that we're gonna work on over the summertime for
okay.
next, the coming fall.
Well, yeah, we were just looking, I mean, this
So
was
what are we
just something-
asking in regards to that? Are we just,
Well, actually, we're asking for odd even,
Well, we have to, yeah, but we can't, we have to, we were
have to
talking
check
about that. We'll bring that back to the next
this
meeting.
is, okay,
Yeah, we'll,
Yeah,
Let's
you're,
move on
you're
that
running
then.
short on it, so.
so you'll check into that, Pam, and we'll
Yeah.
revisit that at the next meeting. All right, moving on to personnel, as we all know, Ray Hartman resigned his position with the borough on September 30th. Time off request, just lost it. Kara is requesting October 23rd, October 24th, November 11th, and December 4th. December 1st.
You know, one of those days.
I'm looking because it says number of days requested off is 4.
First day
Um,
I'm meeting.
So she has 1 day of vacation day and 19 hours of PTO after this request. So I'm assuming that's her time off request. The time clock motion from last month. Any concerns? I don't understand that.
Yeah,
parking
we
it
got
down
me.
here.
Oh. Okay, I misunderstood that. Well, the concerns with the, with Mike, is that one of the things is he's got a half an hour lunch, and to go back and forth, is the liability involved driving, is there liability of him driving his personal vehicle in from when he clocks in to when he drives over to the borough garage?
It's the same liability we incur when he punches out to go to lunch and takes a company vehicle to lunch.
But if he's in his personal vehicle,
When he punches
No,
out
yeah.
and takes our vehicle to lunch and then come back with company vehicle, who's responsible? Us.
okay?
So either way we look at it, we're gonna be responsible.
Yeah.
But if he's in his personal vehicle, there's no reason he can't come here to punch in and go up, if that's the issue, park a truck here, then, or he could walk the block up to the borough garage. I mean,
It's in our time anyway.
it's our time anyway, that's right. It's a case of we push the ordinance, and, I mean, something like this should have been brought to the board members and say, and just push the issue that the clock should have been moved down here anyway.
That's
rather than-
fine, and I don't have any specific issues with that as much. And his other personal concern was does that count as his lunch hour? He has a half an hour of lunch by the time he clocks in, and then goes back to eat lunch, he's gonna
Yeah, I
have a
understand
15-minute
where-
lunch
I
break.
understand what he's saying.
Well, there's a refrigerator, microwave, and everything down here.
You can eat right here.
They could eat right here if that was the case.
Okay,
Take your break here.
I mean, you know the work requirements, any of us
so
who
is
work,
it
if you have
council's
a.
wishes then that we put the time clock up here?
Yeah, we already had the motion, it was already passed.
Yeah, I thought it was already passed.
It was already passed, it was in last month's meeting.
discussed.
It's in the minutes, it was already passed.
Yes, yes,
It was supposed to be done, that's why we're saying.
Well, we knew we were gonna get a new time clock for the.
We knew we were
put
gonna
it
get
on
a new
the
time
budget.
clock, but it was in the minutes, and a motion was made and seconded and passed, that moved the clock down here and start timing down
Right,
here.
Be here.
Okay.
And I have no objection with, he can take his break here. He
Alright.
can go up there.
Okay, well, that's all I have for personnel. Cordell, you wanna review the budget?
Okay, I'll skip over the budget, I'll take the rest first. Received 1723.33 from the Tax Claim Bureau. Received 74.60 from the District Court. And received 313.40 from the Public Utility Reality. Then we have the budget. I don't know how many received anything from the budget. But I'll go over the things that we talked about. There's a few new ones on. We'll take it right from the start here. We talked about purchasing a new truck, okay? And from what we were told, it would cost us just as much money to repair the trucks that we have, which is a total cost is $10,000. Okay, so we're suggesting putting that money aside and buying a new truck.
Okay, can I intervene here?
Go ahead.
I was asked where I came up with my numbers. You're 89 GMC. For your inspection, you guys would look at your property. I'm not knocking you because I know it's been sandbagged. For body repair and dump it, paint, the rust messed up, my estimates are roughly $2,500. I have 4 tires that need to go on the back, $750. The cab repair, I have rust under the gas pedal and several other places, must be fixed. Under the cab itself, and we're looking at that with paint, roughly $1,500. Your front tires would get you through the winter, but iffy. And I don't believe in playing iffy with somebody snow plowing. There's another $340 to $370. And then there's a drag line accessory, it's $120. Your springs are shot. There's $1,069, bringing your grand total on just that one truck to $6,279 approximately. Current mileage on it, I checked that because I thought maybe I would be asked, is around 70,000. The motor itself is half shot, and I would recommend we keep it. But if we're gonna push all this money into this truck to get it inspected for January 1st, because, well, January is when the inspection is due, I'm told you people were considering buying a truck. How about we think about it? I'm not saying you have to, I'm saying these are good reasons for looking at it. I'm looking at a truck that would take care of the snowplow we have now.
Are you suggesting we look at are you
At
recommending we
purchasing.
purchasing the truck?
Yes.
Well,
Okay, is there any other feedback on
If
that?
we're looking at purchasing a vehicle, then with this kind of input onto another vehicle, we're better off jumping this and getting it for, than
Well, I
scrapping
would
it.
suggest keeping it and using it as an auxiliary.
But-
Trust me, before, I kept a truck that everybody wanted to get rid of,
Right,
and it saved this borough lots of money.
but what I'm trying to say here is if you're saying we're gonna
There's no
drop.
trade-in value on it.
I understand there's no trade-in value, but I can't see, if you're saying $7,000, we're gonna drop $7,000 to keep a vehicle that's gonna be third in line. We're gonna have to put that money into it to inspect it.
Like I said, I'm only
Basically, what
suggesting
are the
this.
wishes as far as, do we wanna purchase?
I would ask at this time that you form a committee to look at trucks.
Yeah, I mean, I could see entertaining, looking at whether we would like to purchase or lease, I mean, you know,
And this is
Right.
where I'm getting at.
to put something newer on the road.
One thing I do wanna throw at you, and Darren, I wanna talk with you later, and Pam possibly. Your snow cinder clogs up, jams, that's the portable we have up there. Don't know what it cost, I wasn't here last year, but I hope somebody was here that knew what went on with that cinder spreader, because it does jam up.
Well, can we leave that for a committee meeting and, move forward
So,
with whether
well,
or
what
not
I'm
we
asking for
purchase
at
the
this
truck?
time is, let's, get a committee together to look at the possibilities of that truck.
Who would
Well,
you
why won't
suggest?
streets
Yeah,
look
with
at that?
streets, we could look over that.
Yeah, I
There's
mean,
no-
we
That's
can do
all I'm
that.
asking.
Yeah, we don't need to form another committee, we can just,
Okay.
we'll meet and we can talk about it.
That's all I'm
about
asking.
it.
Okay?
Okay, enough said.
Yep.
Can I just add one thing? I think the girl could get prices from CoStarz, that usually in a Best Buy, so maybe they could get a couple different, prices in.
Well, let me interrupt
And
you,
then,
Bill.
and that way, you have something to start with.
I was told that you had a truck here last year.
Yeah, for $90,000. Which had backup cameras and, if you left a fart in the thing, the spray went off and it sanitized it, you don't need something like that.
Enough said. I shouldn't be
Anyways,
laughing
moving
at
on.
that.
All
Can we
right,
get back to the budget for now?
the next thing was the cell tower that we just talked about here. And we're saying that if that goes through, we would not include it in the budget, okay?
You have to include it in the budget if it goes through.
Okay, but it would be,
We're not counting on it as income.
We're not-
At this point,
Just
at this
put it
point,
as
okay.
auxiliary.
auxiliary, okay? Storm drains, okay, it was always budgeted for 5,000, we decreased it to 1,000, okay? The porta potty, we said instead of taking it for 1 year, we're saying possibly 9 months or $68, right? New locks for the garage, $360, we think that was important, okay? The lock covers and that, $160, okay? The computers, we, instead of being a monthly charge on that, we said, doing it twice a year, or if it was necessary, do it, okay? Tool expense, we decreased from $1,000 to $300. Here again, if it's necessary, we would do it anyway, all right? Security for the borough office, we put at $5,200, that was the quote that we had. But we said that it would be possibly that there might be some changes made with that thing, okay? Legal expense, we said here with us here as a council. Payroll evaluations, that will be separate from with the council. In addition to that now, we've had two other requests. One is the health inspector. We are over budget by $50 this year.
That's
Income. I see we brought in more than expected in 362.40, and we pay no more than $40 from the budget item. There's a suggestion that we might look at that. Okay. The other thing is the fire company would like to see more coming to them, but we were reluctant to do that. I don't know how the rest of the council feels, but we felt that since we were giving them X amount of dollars for last year and this year coming up, we were reluctant to increase that. I know Norman doesn't feel that way,
Okay,
but
whenever I can intervene.
you're on the floor. Go
I'm
ahead.
on the floor. Fire company in the past, probably 10 years, has asked for a 1 mil from the borough of Bowmanstown.
That's right.
And it's always been shunned around, thrown around and everything else. I think it's time this borough understands what it costs to operate a fire department. One engine is worth $195,000. We have 3 engines up there, it's between $350,000 and $400,000. The cost of a brush truck today, which the borough was asked to submit a plan for gambling to that thing, $175,000. I was asked what it costs to operate a fire company without the club. I so often hear this, the club costs money. Well, tell you what, throw the club out. These are some numbers you want to listen to. To keep the building, $6,529.97. Phone calls in for emergency services and that, $738.84. Your internet system, $984.15. And believe me, the fire company operates on internet. It's on the trucks, it's in the building itself. Your water, which I feel is ridiculous. This borough should give the company the water. $1,944.42. Electric, $17,473.75. Sanitation, another thing that most places supply for nothing to these companies. $1,326.89. Our insurance to take care of what we might damage, $13,463.14. We have a mortgage for 1 year, which is roughly $19,000. Your subtotal comes over roughly $79,000 to $80,000 per year just for that. 1 mil in this borough, I'm guessing, is around $14,000. Your house that you take care of. This is your house because if it catches on fire, you got to take care of it.
Norm, I think that we did this last year when we budgeted.
Yeah, but you didn't have the numbers.
We gave the millage, and raising the taxes is a difficult thing when everybody, I mean, I'm not sure how we are very supportive of, as we can be, of the fire company, and I know that we discussed it in borough, and that is why we raised the taxes last year, a millage, but we can't raise it every year because the people are being squeezed.
And out of your millage, what did you give the fire company? $2,000 plus?
Yes.
For this year too. I mean, it comes out every year.
That's the
So-
year coming. I mean, when it was thrown at me, I said, we didn't receive it last year. I was president of the fire company.
And it is a big concern,
it's
and I
this year and
understand that,
next year.
Norman, but I mean, we're on a tight budget too.
You did
We're
get it
getting
last
less
year,
Yeah,
regulations.
you got 2,000 last year, you got 2,000 this year.
And next year.
And next year also.
So we are
Oh.
trying to we're trying to give you, but, you know, we're squeezing milk from a turnip too. So understand that, Norm, when you look at the budget,
Well,
and you're trying to figure that out.
I'm just throwing this out at you because I feel that you've gotta be told what it costs. Take that away and think of what you're gonna pay if they could bring a company in from outside of the area.
Well, it
Because you
is,
will pay, each resident will pay.
and it's understandable, but I think that,
And I don't know that you really
I don't
want
know what
that.
the solution is for that. I think that
I-
we all
I-
understand all the volunteer companies are in the same position. It's a very scary place to be.
No, actually, this is the only borough around that is so low. In all honesty, check around. Don't take my word for it. Check around,
All right,
okay? But
thank you for
I
sharing
said
the
I would
numbers.
present this, I would
Yes.
ask for the 1 mil, that's what I did.
Okay. Any comments from
That-
council?
That's our proposal.
Okay. Motion to accept the budget proposal?
Yeah, I'll make that proposal. Because it's always open for,
What?
no,
My
he's
budget.
giving the proposal, you have to,
For the
you gotta
budget.
get it on the slate
This
this
is the
month.
proposed budget.
It's
The
proposed.
proposed budget.
Yeah.
So everything on here is approved?
No, not necessarily approved, you're just accepting it at this time.
Accepting the proposed budget.
We're accepting it, which needs to be done in October, but it can still be changed.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, you still have the right to change it,
Changes that.
but you're accepting the proposed budget. That's it. I'm willing to accept it at this time.
Okay. Is there anybody opposed to that?
I'll second.
A second? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That's all, is that everything you had for Dell?
Yeah.
Moving down then to property and special.
The main topic we have relates to leaf pickup. We've been in communication with DEP. And we're working on getting a temporary, I'm trying to think of the phrase, temporary permit to discard leaves on property, because as a borough, we have no authorization to put leaves anywhere unless DEP gives us approval. The idea would be, and this is where it gets, where I need your feedback and support, is that we are working with Dean Fisher as the DEP representative. He's going to see if he can grant us a permit by rule, I believe it's called, to actually stockpile the leaves someplace for the fall, and then work towards developing an application and developing a compost. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. Normally not, you know, maybe this has all been done wrong in the past years, but we used to take them up to the gun club and use them.
Well, see, that's the problem.
We can't do that anymore, do we?
Well, I'm just saying,
Well-
maybe it's been stopped.
My
So-
question to DEP was, we have 40 acres in East Penn where road waste is dumped by Walsh and by New Enterprise. It's mostly wooded. We'd like to gather our leaves and dump them out there, and the answer from DEP is, you're not allowed. All right, well, what if we found a private property owner? You're not allowed. You need a permit. It encourages you to either do things illegally or burn it.
Rob, what's involved with getting the permit?
Really just an application saying who we are, where we're gonna start them, and for how long. But like I said, DEP would only grant us that if we agree to develop a compost. And where that becomes limited is when you look at the application for composting, it has to be within certain distances from water, other property lines, and you need to develop windrows, you need to have access to water in case there would be fire.
Can we
So-
pick that ball up again and look at the composting? Because I know
You
we were
can,
working
but
on
if
that.
we, right now, as the ordinance is written, we will pick up leaves at least twice. So we have an agreement and a quote from the county to do that. I'm trying to remember the figures. We have figures from the county for what they picked up and took care of last time. But even with them picking it up, we have nowhere to get rid of it unless we get this application approved by DEP.
What is the cost of the application?
That's free. That's free. There's no fee
How long is the processing?
for
How long will it take to process the permit?
the,
Years.
it shouldn't take long at all, but like I said, for us to legally get rid of the leaves, we need a permit. And the way we'll get that permit is if we agree in the
Okay.
spring to do a compost.
What about our garbage collection? Don't they take the leaves?
Yeah,
For the property owners?
yes, but the idea is that we're here to serve our residents, not make their life difficult.
Well, we're not making their lives difficult.
Really?
They are putting it on.
I have a question.
Really?
Yes,
Okay, when we took away the burning, when we did away with the burning,
right.
okay, that's when we told them we would have pickup in April and in
The way
October,
I said, I
November.
think the way the ordinance is
Two.
written, once in the spring,
Twice.
twice in the
Twice.
fall.
Right.
All
Right.
in the spring.
Right.
So if we bring back the burning
We
ordinance,
can burn them
we don't need to worry about
under
that,
control.
Well, it
okay?
depends how the ordinance is amended.
Well, I mean, we're gonna, branches, sticks, I mean, we're not gonna
Right,
burn
but-
rubbish, newspapers, that
Yeah,
kind
no,
of
I
stuff,
understand,
so.
but right now, the way the ordinance is written, we should pick up leaves twice a year. And apparently where we dumped them last year was not really,
I feel that's the
Wow.
promise that we made the residents, and we need to carry through with that.
We have
Pick
to
up
check
the
it
leaves
out
twice a
and
year.
see what the.
How,
but what I'm saying is for us to get this permit to get rid of the leaves, we're gonna need to commit to going to compost. The
but
only good
where we
place-
are, we've already started that process.
We started that process, but I don't feel we have the wherewithal to do it, because we would need to get borough employees to create windrows at the borough garage property, because that is fenced, because it is far enough away from properties, and because it has access to water, and because it is near the fire company. These are all things that are required on the application. They wanna know what you're putting, where you're putting it, and that you're gonna maintain it. That's been my concern all along from planning through council.
Is through the maintenance of this.
Are we gonna be able to
So,
maintain windrows and get rid of this stuff?
what do you mean by windrows?
The idea is that
can't
you
leave
don't
it
just
alone.
dump it in a pile, you dump it and you spread it into rows.
Okay.
So it can decompose, you
Okay,
mix it in the lime
I
and it
didn't know
breaks
if you
down.
meant that, or if you
Like
meant
when
like
you
trees,
make hay.
or,
Windrows, but
Yeah.
rows of compost.
okay.
So,
Is there other ways that are acceptable for that, like bins? Can you do separate bins, or?
No, yeah, you can't.
I really think that's what he's checking out.
I mean, when you look, what DEP, when you look at their application, they wanna make sure that you don't have people just dumping stuff anywhere.
Oh, absolutely.
But that's apparently what a lot of municipalities do. We tried to do the right thing, and now we're limited in what we
When
can
you get
do.
the time, we're going for a ride. I'll take you on a ride with streets, and I'll show you what illegal dumping is within the borough.
Well, again, we wanna improve things, so.
Well, I'm just willing to show you.
Rob,
So-
I'm personally interested in proceeding with the compost in the spring, if we can commit to that, and if we're down to just, and I don't know what the wishes of council are, but I think that that also can allow us a way to generate income down the road.
Maybe, but at this point,
Not a lot, but it's, I mean, that's not the deciding factor. I mean, I think just looking at,
it's gonna cost us money.
Yeah, there's not a composting project out there that doesn't cost the
Well, but I'm
municipality
saying,
money.
even if we got to that point, before we even get to that point, this month, next month, it's going to cost us money just to have the leaves picked up. It shouldn't cost us money to discard the leaves, but it will cost us money if we set up a compost, because you'll have borough employees
And the ongoing maintenance.
picking the material up, maybe in some aspects, but that's agreed
I
it
think
upon.
would
I
just
gotta
be
tell
that
Nate
it's twice
Manning
a
it.
year.
Here, in our office plan, somewhere back there, we looked at doing it, and I'm going back years, as to what the dates are, maybe Cordelia, John, you can help me out, where we were gonna set up the compost with a tri-regional with West Bowman's, Perryville, Franklin Township. And what it really boiled down to was that we were willing to do it, we had the property, but it ended up that Bowman's Town would be supplying the labor and all of it. It's not the way it was originally set up. Each municipality was supposed to give so many hours to that place, but it
There are
Can we
possibilities through
get
the
more
councils of
information
government.
instead of, I mean,
Well, but what I'm saying is we need to make a decision tonight if we're going to shoulder this on our own. We might be able to work through regional planning, we might be able to work through councils of government for a compost. Short term, we have to pay money to pick up the leaves, and we need to commit to developing a compost so we can get the permit to get rid of the leaves in the fall. Because if we get rid of the leaves, the guy from DEP is gonna say, "You never came for a permit, what'd you do with the leaves?"
I think you gotta check out DEP.
Well, again,
Play the ball game there.
we've had a lot of conversations. I'll actually have a chance to meet with the gentleman next Wednesday to see if we can maybe do something with the 40 acres in East Penn. But again, they're very black and white, these gentlemen we're dealing with.
Where, I mean, the county picked the leaves up last year, or when we had them. So don't they dispose of them
No, they
somewhere?
dump them on the water authority.
Oh,
Which we found out this year
okay.
was not actually allowed. As a private property owner, you can dump leaves wherever you want all day, but as a borough, we have to have a permit.
Right.
Okay.
And they really only want to grant you a permit if you, for what's called, that's what's called stockpiling. He's willing to grant us a permit to stockpile the yard waste, the leaves, if we agree to develop a compost. Because really, that's the only way to get rid of it, short of burning or short of
Okay, but
putting it out in the garbage, but
he's
then
gonna
that,
give you the information on how that is set up.
I can show that to you tonight if you want after the meeting.
Yeah.
So, I guess what I'm asking for is, are we ready as a council to commit to proceed for sure using borough property and borough employees to develop a compost?
I'm against the compost project.
Okay,
The problem I have with, and he's talking about the 40 acres, there's something sticking in my mind over there that we're not allowed to use it. I'm not sure what it is, whether it be the dumping area.
That's a dump area.
well,
But there's,
that's the 15 acres, the dump area, the 40 acres, but
yeah,
again,
no, I understand what you're saying. I would like to check on some of the past records.
yeah.
Not to stall you.
Yeah, but the state the state discourages people from burning. The
So-
state discourages you from putting it out with the garbage.
Rob, I think we're going full circle here. Can we just, what we need to do is make a decision, to my understanding,
Right.
of whether or not we're gonna proceed. We have nowhere to dump the leaves unless we, legally.
And I don't know what fines are, so I don't even
So-
wanna touch that.
Right now, what we're doing is, we promised our residents that we're gonna do leaf pickup twice. My position is that's what we promised and that's what we deliver. In that being the case, either we illegally dump the leaves or we commit to a compost, and that is my
You're
understanding of
striking
what
that
I'm
from the
saying.
record, right?
Yeah, or we notify the residents that they put them out for the garbage.
That wasn't in the ordinance.
No.
But
Right,
if we're gonna bring back the burning ordinance, we.
They
but
have
we
the
need
right
to
to
know,
burn this.
but no, we
But
need
that's
that,
not
we
gonna-
need to know that
that's
now.
not gonna happen
We're sort of in a
this fall.
stalemate.
What?
In other words, we can't get this turned around quickly enough to burn stuff.
But we still
This fall.
can't,
Will it take that long to get that?
Your next meeting, you're gonna have to authorize the advertisements.
Okay.
For 2 weeks.
So we'd be looking at December and
Yeah.
we're in a
I'm just
difficult
not
spot.
in favor of committing to creating a compost.
Neither am I.
I think
Can we
maybe
put
we
this
should,
before
maybe
the
we should
council
just
as
look,
far as?
where do they have a compost? Palmer didn't have a compost?
No.
What town has a compost?
That's, I'm gonna suggest that Tracy,
Washington Township, and we had county.
Whether
Wash-
Resident there, but.
Okay.
Okay,
Lehigh
where does
County- Lehigh County-
Palmerton, where does Palmerton get rid of theirs? Let's find out.
Um,
No.
Yeah.
here's the problem we have.
I know where they get
We
it.
don't,
Yeah.
I
we
know
don't
where they
want
get rid of
to-
theirs.
Hey, can we stay focused on where we're at here? Because we can sit there and chase our tails around this story for a half an
And
hour.
that is what I'm bringing to you. Where does these larger towns get rid of their leaves?
Why
You
don't-
have Lehigh and you have Palmerton.
Can Tracy check
Let's
into
find
that
out.
information and find that out? That's right.
we know they get rid of it, we're not at liberty to say how or where. Because that is their
Not our
business,
concern.
and we're kinda stuck with the
Our
wrong
concern
problem.
is what we're looking at right here on our table and what we're gonna do with our leaves right now. And we can sit there and argue
We-
back and forth till
Okay.
the sun rises
From what
tomorrow
you're saying
morning.
so far, we have one
I'll
decision.
be out of here.
You have one decision to make, is
I
to
brought
say,
my
we're
coat
gonna
if it's
pick them
supposed
up
to
and
snow.
he's gonna go forth for the permit to allow us to stockpile them for this year.
It doesn't seem to me like
That-
at
that's
this
our
point
only
in time,
recourse
we
at this
have
point.
our option, right?
That is the
We
only,
are, unless we renege on our promise to our residents.
well, we already did that in the spring, we didn't pick up in spring.
We had the cleanup in the spring. We used that was the, street sweeper.
But you still have the right to
But-
check.
No, that was the street sweeper, you didn't pick up leaves.
No, we did not pick up leaves.
So the-
So
So
therefore
you
it's
reneged,
okay.
you reneged on it in spring.
So there it's
So
okay,
we're-
we can do it again.
So are we gonna renege on it in fall?
That's
or
your
we-
choice, that's
Well,
council's choice.
that's what I'm saying, if you wanna renege on it a second time, that's council's choice.
I'm opposed to that.
But
We
what
made a
our
promise
option
to our
is
residents.
not to have a street sweeper come in, we have to pick up the leaves, we've gotta get a temporary permit to stockpile, and then move forward at that point. That's our option.
I'm washing my hands of that because if we told our residents we were picking up the leaves twice in the fall, we need to pick up the leaves twice in the fall.
Well, we can have the borough crew go out, have them rake them out, have them bag them and send them out to the garbage. I mean, we're, our hands are tied. I mean, if you make, I mean,
Yeah.
what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
That's my opinion on it.
Yeah, they sort of put us in a bind. Either that or we're gonna take them to
Mr.
the
Brown.
place
Can
that
can I
does
pick,
our
can I-
time.
can I pipe in? Why don't you sell them for $1 to a private resident that is allowed to dispose of them however they'd like? At which point, they don't have the requirements of the EPA permit,
Well,
and therefore
actually-
they can dump them where they want to, and you can even dump them on your
No,
property.
no, we don't.
On their property.
I can remove leaves from my property and take them to my property. I
Okay.
cannot take leaves from his property and
To your
dispose of them
On your
somewhere
property?
else. No, you
Okay.
can't.
He said private citizens could dispose of them.
Private citizens could dispose of them themselves on their property. You can dispose of them on your own property,
But only on your own property.
only on your own property.
And if Mother Nature blows them away, you're not allowed to do what?
Well,
Let's, I mean, this is, like I said, this has put us in a tough spot. What
Okay,
I would like to do is get agreement that we at least get a permit to stockpile the leaves for the fall.
I'll second Go the for motion.
I
Second the
second.
motion.
Can I second?
No, you can't, sorry. No.
Can-
Well, he made the motion, I second,
Okay,
just to get this moving on and then.
No. No.
so, all in favor?
No, I got a no here.
Opposed?
No.
Who knows?
2 noes? Okay, the motion carries. I guess that's all you have for us, Rob?
Yeah, that's enough.
All right,
Yeah.
Feel that way.
For now.
No.
all right, moving on to,
I'm going out of order, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go to number 2 first, because that one should go quicker.
now you're gonna confuse us all.
Well, that's okay.
Let's try to make it all pretty quick.
Yeah, we received an offer for the bird balls, 8 cents a piece. They're gonna be redeployed at someone else's lovely sewer plant. And the purchaser is gonna pay for the shipping. We need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Yeah,
I'll second it.
Bird balls are history.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, moving
Yep.
on.
We had an EDU request. It was right here in front of my face.
Schleikers.
Schleikers. And at which point, at first review of it, I don't see anything that we can change it. If we did change it, if they'd ever change use of that, they would have to re-buy into the system at the new price. Would that be correct?
Well, I haven't seen anything at all about what you, I have no idea what you're doing.
There you go.
The complaint reads, they're currently they're currently being charged 5 EDUs.
How long do I have to answer? Just like a time request?
You have 2
You're talking
minutes.
about print manufacturing, in other words.
Right.
Okay, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different operations going on over there at the present time. Don't know if you're aware of that.
Where are the 5?
You have the balloon thing, you have the cardboard thing, you have the trucks in the back, which is Sliker himself. You have a separate operation going on down from the, behind the cardboard thing
What's
there.
there?
I don't know what's there, I haven't
I wasn't
investigated.
aware of that one.
What's that?
Okay, and what's the 5th one?
The fifth
Down
one
in the
is the
bottom.
building itself they rented on, the top.
Yeah, that's for the,
That
that's,
was the
that's
For the plastic.
that's
Yeah,
that's
on
recycled.
the one part, but they have the other part rented out too.
Well, they-
Check it out.
well, that's up to our zoning officer to check that out.
No, the complaint though, Darren, as I understand it, is they're being assessed 5 EDUs, they wanna go to 1 EDU, and if we would do that, then if they were ever to,
Go back, it would
go
be
back, they would have to,
payment.
they'd have to pay for EDUs again.
They,
I don't know.
They don't get assessed EDUs. What they do is you, if you want to have a use permit, you want to use a property in Borough Providence Town, you need a zoning permit. In order to get that, one of the things you need is to be tied into the sewer system. In order to be tied into the sewer system, you have to have access to the appropriate number of EDUs. So, without the ordinance in front of me to tell you how this is based on, we're knowing what this is, it says there are currently only 4 full-time and 2 part-time employees. So I'm going to assume that the EDUs are based on number of employees?
yeah.
Is that the criteria in this
Yes.
particular section? So, in order to have that many employees at that site, with a valid permit, they have to have the minimum number of EDUs. They can have more than that, but they can't have less than that. And what happens sometimes is, people come in strong, and they purchase more EDUs than they need, or they purchase the number they need. And maybe the recession comes, they lay people off, the business goes down, they no longer need those EDUs. But you don't just give them back and stop paying for them, you have to abandon them. Because then what happens is, if you abandon them and turn them back, that means they're now available for somebody else to purchase them. So you can't come back later and say, remember me, I had those 3 EDUs that I didn't want, I want them back. It doesn't work that way, you have to repurchase them. So they're allowed to reduce the EDUs, they have a right to do that. They can't reduce them below the minimum amount that's required to engage in whatever the use is, but they can reduce those. But the only way you can reduce them is to abandon them. We have a form that does that, because we've had people do that before. Once they're abandoned, they're gone. If Mr. Schleicher, whoever it is, wants to then grow his business back, he brings in, he wants to put a medical office building there or something, he has to go buy those EDUs, he has to buy them back. So, that's all I'm seeing here in this. States that
Yeah.
10 employees would be charged 1 EDU, currently we are charged 5 EDUs. We appreciate that the number of EDUs we are being billed would change from 5 EDUs to 1 EDUs. That's fine, provided he abandons it. What he can't do is stop paying for them, but still own them.
And what's the employee number? Per se? I mean, because, well, just say we have 4 and 2, and I see 10 guys coming over for lunch daily from Lorenzo, over to Lorenzo, stuff like that.
Well, the problem he's gonna have is if he's not forthright and he has more employees than he says he does, and he abandons the EDUs, if Mr. Delker determines that
He has more employees than what he's paying
he's
for.
either gonna lose the zoning permit or he's gotta buy the EDUs.
He's gotta buy the EDU back.
Yeah.
I have a
Yes, sir.
question, Jim. He has 5 ADUs, he wants to go down to 1. And now, he has the recycling over there, and I know the blue business, and I just heard tonight there's maybe some other businesses over there, which I think the zoning officer has to check into and verify that, because if there is, he's in violation of the agreement that he agreed to.
Yes.
But the question is, if there's more than one business there, shouldn't each business be considered an EDU because they're not tied together as
I believe that's the way our ordinance is set up.
one solid unit?
It's per use. It's per use.
So the
Use
least he
is
should have
required
over
in the
there is,
application.
from what I know as of right now, so the least he should have over there, if the recycling meets one EDU
Yeah,
requirement,
That's one.
then there should also be one EDU for the balloon business, because
Yes.
their crap's going somewhere.
It's
Well,
going
the-
right into the creek, just.
There's
I'm
no-
not saying that. I
There
know-
are no businesses that have 0 EDUs.
Right, so
Okay,
the
Bill.
minimum he needs is 2
So
at
maybe
at this
maybe
point.
The trucks be on
I don't
on the
know
other
that at this
side, the
point.
trucks that are being parked. Now, I'm talking about the other side of the
Yeah.
building.
I'm just saying that Mr. Delacour has to go in and investigate that and come back and
And
report
what his
to it.
counsel
And
has to
that's,
direct them.
Yep.
And that's another dilemma that maybe we can discuss.
Well, okay, let me just answer this now. Looks like it's a complaint, it's gonna call it a complaint.
No, it's a request.
Request.
Well, it does say EDU billing
Building
complaint
complaint
form.
form.
Okay, well, it looks like a complaint form. If the person wants their EDUs decreased, there's a different form they have to use to pay the EDUs.
So that'll buy us time if nothing else.
So the responsibility, this is up to the sewer committee then, with approval of
Well, it's
council?
got the cart before the horse. It's not the borough that's just billing them EDUs. All the borough is doing is this. The borough says, how many EDUs do you want? Here's the bill. Oh, you've paid it? There's your 5 EDUs. Bless you, go forth and do business. That's all the borough does. We don't, now, if they're engaged in a business where they don't have sufficient EDUs, they're in violation of the ordinance. So they come back and knock on the door and say, oh, by the way, I need a few more of those. Can you sell me 3 more? The borough says, yes, here's 3 more. Pay us. There's your, and that's, it's as simple as that. We don't tell them, you know, you gotta buy 5 EDUs. What we tell them is, you can't operate a business that needs 5 EDUs unless you have them. But you don't have to buy 5 EDUs, just don't operate the business. That's his choice, he has to make. It's a choice he has to make. Now, if you get to the point where you find you have all these EDUs that you don't need, obviously it's a disadvantage because you pay that monthly carry, even if you're not using them. And we've had this before and people have said, I don't want it. So say you have a 2-unit apartment, it used to be a single-family home, somebody has 2 EDUs, somebody comes back, they reconvert it to a single-family home. You take the extra EDU, you abandon it because you don't need it, it's not yours. And then you don't have to pay that monthly carry.
But who should respond to this?
And I can respond to it, if you want, the borough can tell them they.
But you don't even have the right form filled out.
Well,
I know of to give him, so
Well,
that was my error.
Well, I'll give you the other thing, because we have it from another file, it was abandoned.
Okay.
I think
But it has
because
to
of
be,
the.
it's a little more solemn than this, because
Okay.
what happens is, if you don't have the appropriate paper trail, then what do you mean I gotta buy back those?
Well, there was an agreement that you had made up for the one,
Yep,
but that was after they filled that out.
oh, was it, after
Yeah.
they filled that?
Mhm.
Okay,
I would like to see you respond to this,
I can deal with
if,
it.
if that would be
one thing I
acceptable to
would
council's
request that
wishes.
Mr. Delacour go over and check out how many businesses are being run over there.
You tell them to do that.
Okay.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Do I tell them or does council
Check it out.
check it out? Because
Yeah.
from what I've seen, there's at
He
least 4,
initiated
maybe
this.
5.
He
We've
initiated
decided to
this.
have is that a decision, Mr. Preston will write him a letter and then we can move forward with this meeting?
Yes. Yep.
Okay,
I think at a
Thank you.
minimum, what we need to know in order to process this, complete, he needs to identify to us what are the uses of the road. He needs to tell us that.
here, but we do have another question on the floor there. How many businesses are being operated?
Well, this is
Well, he
depending
needs to
on who
tell
you
us.
talk to, because there are more than the code allows.
Actually,
and-
no, all we should have to do is ask Dwayne, how many
See,
do they
that's
have
the
approval
problem
for?
I'm
No,
having.
how many do they have approval for through zoning?
Mhm.
They have 2. So if that's what so the minimum they're gonna be is at 2 EDUs. So at which point, then he needs to go over and investigate, if there's more than those 2, they're violating zoning, and then that's gonna put all this on hold.
Well, let's move on to streets.
Okay, dead end signs, I do have them up there. They have not been installed as of yet. I talked to one resident up there across from Rich Sanders. He wished we wouldn't put them up, but council has designated two, I guess. They are there. I just need, are they going dead center or are they going on either side of the road?
We're saying one on top and one below, on the bottom of the Lime Street.
If I look
No,
correctly, I
Lime
thought
Street,
there were
it's up
four.
there, it's
No.
Oak Street. Oak
No,
Street.
one on Oak Street, one on the bottom of the line.
Lime Street.
Oh, on the bottom.
Yeah, on the bottom of the line
At
going
the
up.
end of the parking area.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Okay, dead center.
Yeah.
So, okay, they will be installed.
All right, anything else? Mr.
Other than that, you got the truck report, and I have a GMC that's gonna need tires. Not a GMC, a Ford. I did throw that at Riddell.
We discussed that in the budget,
Well, this is stuff that we're gonna have to purchase shortly.
okay.
So whether it be this month or next month, I can get pricing on it.
Let's get pricing and review it next month then.
Okay, you got it.
Thank you,
You're welcome.
Mr. Mayor.
Trick or treat night is going to be October 29th, 2014, so everybody put their mask on and go out, get lots of candy, especially peanut butter cups, and bring them into the office for the girls. It'll be from 6 to 8 p.m., and the special fire police will be called out to be out on the streets that night.
Special fire police, other than the regular fire police?
They're all
That's
special.
what
They call them the special fire.
They have to be special fire.
Special mask, that night it was special.
Yeah.
They're all special.
And you had a complaint
I
you wish to
I had
report?
a, yeah. I'm
And he followed up on it.
We got a complaint about kitty litter, oil, and paint being dumped on Peach Street. And the culprit will send a letter, and we haven't seen hide nor hair of him since. So I guess the letter did good.
Well, I might have some other names for you to send some letters.
What's that?
Okay, does anybody else have other business? I
Yeah, I
have
want,
one topic.
I have one other thing I want to bring up under other business. I'm being a real pain tonight. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
you are.
Mr. Arner up on Lime Street has a trailer on the road for 7, 8 months now. Our gentleman down here that has been cited, I don't know how many times, has a trailer on the road. If you go down right now, every night it's dropped there. I want to ask council's permission and have Tracy send a complimentary letter to these people. The first letter
You
was
forgot the
gonna
other
be-
one, too.
Mr. Valiant up here brings his truck home periodically. He hasn't lately. But is it here tonight? Okay, then, there you go. There's number 3, complimentary letters stating that if it happens again, they will be cited. With a copy of the ordinance, because I'm hearing they never heard of such a thing. Of course, this gentleman out here must have seen it a dozen times.
What is the ordinance?
States that you cannot have trucks, there's a weight limit on trucks, trailers may not be, campers may not be parked on the street longer than 24 hours. These are people that have constantly broken, and I'm just saying, I'm gonna start off my regime with.
So would we like to have Tracy send them a letter then?
Yeah, just complimentary letters stating that if it
Is that
happens
council's wishes?
again, they will be getting a visit from the mayor or code enforcement.
Is that council's wishes? Is that okay?
It doesn't matter what council says that, so.
If
that's
it's
the
an
mayor,
ordinance,
that's
it's
the
ordinance.
officer.
It's an
the
ordinance that we're
ordinance.
bound to
Just
enforce.
quickly, because we do have an executive session this evening, and I wanted to just also discuss, I meant to bring it up in personnel and did not. We will be needing to discuss hiring somebody to replace Mr. Hartman. It has been discussed whether to hire full-time or part-time, and this is something that personnel can make a recommendation for, but if anybody has any input quickly to add to that.
As for what? Replacement of Ray Hartman at this point, at this juncture?
At this time, are we
At
gonna
this,
talk
well,
about
I
this
think
at
we
the
need to
executive
talk
session?
about
I thought this was gonna be
discuss during the executive
We
session.
have
Let's
it,
talk about it
okay,
then.
perfect. Okay. Meeting adjourned.
Do you have public comment at all?
You can't adjourn it. We've got to go into
We're going
another
into
executive session.
You can't
I thought we adjourned it first.
No.
When you come out,
Now we adjourned it.
yes,
Okay.
because you have to make your little speech afterwards.
Do you not have,
I got part of it done, I got the all in favor.
yeah.
What do you want?
Do you have public comment at all, or not?
Public
Do you have
comment?
public comment?
Yeah, is there any public comment at all?
That was in the beginning with
You have
visitors.
2 seconds.
I got two.
Then
What?
time's up.
What law are you exercising when you forcibly acquire the equity of a person's private property to hire a third party to contract an unlimited authority to work on a sidewalk?
What was the question again?
All right, ready?
Yep.
What law are you exercising when you forcibly acquire the equity of a person's private property to hire a third party contractor with an unlimited authority to work on the sidewalk?
In regards to the Hamilton Street and the curbing.
Okay, well, first of all, the first 12 feet of the property is borough property. It has been deemed that
Right of
10
way.
or 12 as right of way.
So what law are you using? That's all I want to know.
Specifically,
Yeah.
in this case, the borough code.
The borough code to say that you have the right to take private property, or is it borough property?
No, you're using the word take private property, that's your word. Nobody's taking private property.
We're-
You're putting a lien on it by him not, you're basically going to take the equity out of his home.
No, they're gonna get paid for putting in the curb that he's
Who's getting paid?
required to do but won't do.
Who's getting paid?
Whoever puts in the curb.
Who
If the
dec-
home-
who decides
I'm
to
not
put it
gonna
in?
talk- I'm not gonna answer if you're not gonna let me finish.
Well, I was asking, you're saying somebody. You're using pronouns without actually having a subject first.
Okay, let me start over. Curbing needs to be placed along the side of the road. It will not appear through prayer or divine intervention. Someone has to put it there.
Okay?
We're assuming that whoever puts it there will send the bill and want to be paid. The first instance, the homeowner is given the opportunity to make that arrangement, to select someone, they can do it themselves, as long as they do it to code, they can hire a contractor, they can use whatever means they want, maybe prayer will work for them. As long as the curb appears there and meets the code, they've satisfied their obligations. Now, if they thumb their nose at the borough and they come in and say, that's a taking, I'm not doing that, you can go whatever, then the borough has now the obligation, not just the right, but the obligation, to go and put the curb in. Again, I go back to my original premise. Somebody's gonna wanna get paid for that. I'm gonna use the pronoun he. So whoever puts the curb in, I'm assuming, I'm gonna use the masculine pronoun. He, the person that put it in, wants to get paid. The person who's obligated to pay them is the homeowner who shirked their responsibility and didn't do what they were required to do under the law, which was have the curb put in. So what the borough does is, they pay him, the he, to put the curb in, have the borough funds. So how does the borough get made whole? The borough puts a lien against the deadbeat property owner, and the deadbeat property owner now has to pay the borough back for the borough having done what the deadbeat property owner didn't do.
So I'm a contractor and I put in the guy's curb and I bill him $200,000. You have to pay my bill?
Well, that can't happen.
Thank you. So how does the person hire this contractor? Who's hiring the contractor?
It's up to the
It's up to the
person.
homeowner.
I'll
right to work. It's up to
the homeowner, so,
The
right.
homeowner
give you an
can
example
hire
from personal experience. I own property where curbing needed to be installed. I did not have a contractor, so I approached the council at the time and requested if it was possible for, because the council, the borough had to hire that same contractor for the curbing on borough property. So my question was, could I pay the contractor, could I hire the borough's contractor to do the work?
And pay your portion of it. You made that choice.
That was my choice, right. Had I said, no, I'm not going to install curbing, as the solicitor explained, I'm obligated to have curbing. It's borough ordinance, it's borough code. Had I said, no, I will not pay for this, the borough would be obligated to install the curbing, and then a lien would have been placed against my property, so that when I would sell, the borough would be reimbursed for the money they paid.
By their thing. So basically, I'm using the term by eminent domain, you're taking that
No,
person's.
it's not eminent.
No, because there's a right of way. In other words, I don't have sidewalk where I live, but according to the ordinance for snow removal, there is a footpath that I'm
So
obligated to
what, the
clear.
question is, what law do you use to forcibly put that contractor to put that sidewalk or that curb in and then take the money from his lien?
Borough code.
Borough code, the borough
Borough
code, it's in the borough
It's a
code.
curbing
So when they
sidewalk
moved
ordinance.
here, they accepted this loss of their personal property when you guys decided to put the
Well,
curb in.
that's
Every
not
town
that
has
simple.
it.
They're not, they lose, if you wanna use your words, that right to that property in the extent that they don't have absolute control over that. It's in the public right of way. That piece they lose, the piece they gain is every time they walk down the sidewalks out here, they're crossing everybody else's property. There's a notion of right of way that society has agreed to accept, which is a certain shared public easements. Those are what the roads are. Actually, most people do own to the center of the street in their deeds, and in actuality, they do. That's really, the fee interest belongs to the people on the boundary of the property.
Right.
But they can't go out and build a fence out to the middle of the street and say, you ain't riding your cars in here anymore, I'm not having that. And then if the cops come and take the fence down and say, this is a public street, they don't get to file action, inverse condemnation, saying you took my property. That's sort of what you're saying.
Well,
That was,
but
we gave that up before the colonies were even here.
Yeah.
That's been going since forever.
you're basically making
We
sure
don't have
the question is who's responsible for hiring the contractor and to what limit and what level is that dollar value assigned so that you made a
The
choice.
property owner
The
is
property owner
responsible.
has the original choice.
The property owner is responsible for doing that.
And only when he advocates that
The borough
choice.
only gets involved if the property owner refuses to do what they are responsible to do.
I
That's
think,
the only time the borough gets
I
involved.
think
We're
what
good.
you're asking was, the borough, the property owner has the right to, if I needed to replace curbing and I wanted you to replace my curbing, I have the right to have you replace the curbing in front of my house. However, if I choose not to do that, then it has to get done for the curb to be consistent, so.
So somebody has this law that they can use, what you're saying is the ordinance that gives you a certain period of time to make your own decision, and if not,
Yes,
you will
yes.
come in and force that upon them.
That's right.
Well,
Through that
conversely, what would happen if,
You won't
what would
force
happen
it
if you didn't
upon
put the
them, you do
curb?
it.
Just making sure that that's what the answer is. Next, I got one more quick one. Why were you in such a rush to forcibly require or accept a position for the librarian without just waiting for her to actually apply?
I wasn't anxious, she said she was interested. She said, what do I have to do? I said, send a letter. I says, I'll bring it up at the meeting, and if you want the position, because we have a hard
Why- why
time
we
getting
just-
somebody to fill that position.
I agree, man, but volunteering somebody without them actually sending the letter first is what I was wondering. Why would you
Actually,
take
that
that?
person said to me she would take the position.
Don't get, why not just wait? That's what my question was.
Well,
If she's gonna do it
I-
anyway,
And I relayed that
I
to
just brought it
council.
up.
okay.
Yeah.
I just
And
brought it up.
relayed to
I think she
council.
has the freedom to wait until she actually writes the letter and then
Well,
it
and she
comes on
still
to-
has the right to turn it down too.
I would hope so. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have fun. Thank you. Oh, dear.
Who are you
Thank you,
with?
Mr. Bradley.
Who am I with? I'm with the guy that's trying to decide whether or not Tuesday's the best day to burn or Wednesday's the best day to
Well,
burn.
my question is, who are you writing for?
Huh?
Who do you write for?
The people.
Does.
No.
See,
Seriously.
you
What
want answers,
agency?
but you don't want to give
I did not
direct-
answer- if
You
you-
don't want to give
What-
direct answers, you want
I
to beat
did.
around the bush.
I did. Wait,
And I
wait.
hate people like you.
There you go.
I'll say it
That's
right
good.
now.
What agency?
All right.
Wait.
Times
We're-
News?
No. We're with the Carbon County Independent Gazette.
All right, that's good to
See, now,
hear.
was that hard?
I was just wondering if you didn't, why you didn't know. I thought you already knew. We met you the
I
other
didn't
day.
know.
Well, we met you the other day. I thought you
I
just,
did, but I probably didn't know who you were from.
Yeah.
nor did I.
I hope these guys succeed, by the way.
What's that?
I hope you succeed.
We already did.
You never succeed till you're in it for a year.
Oh, we already did. It's been 12.